Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi LiveNoding. In this episode, I'm gonna give you a quick example of Sverchok Node 3. It was actually basically inspired by a logo that I saw the other day. So basically, the logo actually kind of have like two lines where the first one is straight and the other one is resembling like a face. And then what's happening is that it's kind of interpolate between the two lines and it creates something like this. I'll show you something like that. So that's basically the idea. It's yeah, it's actually quite interesting setup here. Previously, before I do the separations, it's basically kind of like a lofting. It looks something like that without the slicing. So originally it was like this. So it's all, but I like the idea, excuse me, of having like a step of the face. So let's see how I actually did this. This is very much, I think, the foundations of Sverchok basics, and I learned this a while back ago. There is one node called the UV connections, and this supposedly this works really well for any kind of line that will generate a U and a V kind of mesh surface. Um, so let me explain what's actually going on. So I have two stroke of grease pencil, right? And based on the two stroke, I'm splitting them into two data. So the first stroke and the second stroke. And then I'm doing this vector interpolations based on the two strokes. This way I can kind of adjust how many points that I want to sample the grease pencil lines for. So in this case, I'm using 40 points. And after I do that, the next process is to use a vector lerp. So vector lerp is doing the same thing like this vector interpolation. In this case, I'm interpolating it so you can see how many shapes it's gonna create to blend between the two lines. So I could actually have like if I draw it again, if I draw the face like that, it's gonna interpolate between the two based on this number. So yeah, it's quite simple. It's basically, you will think of it's like a lofting if you are using NURBS, but the result is gonna be a polygon. And yeah, and the next process after vector lerp is list split. I need to split the data based on this how many points we have in between. So I have the same number. So if I have 8 in between, I will need to split the data into 8. And then after this is the node. This is one node that's doing the hard work for us. So basically, you can have it like in many different ways. But the one that works for me is the U, and with everything off, and then the U and the V with the slice off for this guy. But if I want it to be like each separate planes for each face, I will need to slice it. So let me just make another one. It's kind of confusing otherwise. Slice on, and then I believe I can then separate this guy like that. So we have some kind of stepping. So this is the first one, blue color. And this is the second one with the stepping. The number of vertex should match this guy up here. So yeah, it's I guess it could be actually even better if I actually, currently it's like each of the slice has its own plane, but I would be nice if it's starting from this guy, kind of stretching. It's like it's almost like what do you call it, like a rice paddy kind of stacking. So if you have that kind of nice stacking, you can generate like a, I don't know, like a fountain, or I don't know, like a, could be like a nice kind of architect kind of design. So that's the idea. Basically, you have you just create 2 strokes, and it's gonna interpolate between the 2. So I guess that's kind of interesting. I think we can even process this guy and then for the next step. So it's not, this is like the simple basic example. 2 stroke, separate the stroke, resample the stroke, and then combine them back using vector lerp, and then resample it in the different V or U directions, split the data, connect it back, and you get that. Get this, and then you can, I don't know, I think this is like a good start for a lot of design model, I think. Well, I guess it's pretty basic, but hopefully this is useful for you at some point. You can always save it, and remember, you can save it as SphereChalk preset. So I'm gonna save this as, let's say, save as UV basic. So now if you open new SphereChalk, you can always load it from that preset. Create a new node 3, and then you load it from the preset. So this UV basic, if I click it, it might crash. Yeah, it's just a bug of my recording. But anyhow, that's a quick example of the UV connections, how you can generate like a easy mesh lofting based on a 2 grease pencil stroke. Well, I might actually try it again. It's a bit dark, my computer now. SphereChalk new UV basic. We just need a grease pencil stroke, and then it's gonna generate it for you. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.